Hey guys, my name's Khadroth, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the upcoming Christmas lottery event on NA. So, Merry Christmas in the Snowy Field is going to be our Nemo Moss, as we like to call it, basically our upcoming Christmas lottery event. Now, we already have the pre-campaign. It lasts until the 17th here. That means that we can kind of infer with the way NA has been running things that the campaign will end on the 17th, and then we will get the live stream on the 18th, with probably the event starting on the 19th. That is interesting because that will at least be probably a day before JP had it. We maybe will get just another bump of a delay, and maybe it starts on the 20th, so don't freak out if that happens. That is pretty much the exact time that you guys can expect it. NA also does have the advent calendar rolling around right now, but the idea again is to kind of have everything wrapped up in time for the end of the year. As you guys can see, this is basically a 10/11 day event. So as we talk about the Christmas lotto proper, again, this is a lottery style event. If you guys have never done one of them, they are very much a your mileage may vary style of event, where how much you give to the event, how much you grind in the event is going to be how much you get out of it. So the more time you have, the more resources like apples you have to spend, the more you're going to get in terms of resources back out in terms of essential materials and various other things. We'll go over the lotto boxes here in a minute, but the big thing to understand is that lottery events are the most lucrative time for farming that the game really has from year to year. Now, for this, we will be having some requirements for the event. As you guys can see, it does require you guys to clear Fuyuki to be able to participate. However, if you would like the ability to do the story and to get the welfare that is Santa Nemo, you guys need to have cleared Trom. That is, again, 6.5 is what you guys are going to need to be able to get through. Lost Belt 6.5. So that is going to be fairly deep into the story for some of you guys. You might not make it. Again, you can still participate in the farming style of the lotto, but you will not gain access to the welfare if you do not have Trom complete. I've seen a lot of people questioning about this over the coming months, and yes, this is a hard requirement. So again, welfare, Nemo Santa is going to be who you guys are going to be getting. He's an AoE Arts Rider. I apparently have not done a video on him yet, despite doing a lot of these videos years ago. So we're going to actually come back in a separate video and do a video for him. But he's definitely going to be a unit that you guys are going to want to level up. He's actually going to be useful in some of the compositions. We will be talking about those lotto comps here at the end of the video. So as you guys can see, we will have a scheduled release. Now, this lotto is going to work a little bit different from a lot of other traditional lotto events. Christmas is already normally a different style of event because it does usually end up giving you at least a little bit of a more ramping experience. So usually each day you unlock a better node. This one's going to be different though from normal Christmas events. This one, you will start out every day with a new 90+ node. So for each of the first 7 days, you will have a 90+ node available to you to farm. It will not be terrible efficiency. They'll all actually have relatively similar efficiency in terms of that, and I'll show you guys that in a minute as well. But you will end up having at the end on the 7th day the addition of a 90++ node. So that will be interesting. Now, honest to God, I would tell you guys you don't really have to care about the efficiency. You can just go ham right away, if not for the fact that the 90++ node will be more efficient. Usually 90+ and 90++, we're looking at a 6-slot composition for a 90+ node, and then maybe a 5-slot composition for a 90++ node. That will not be true in this lotto. This lotto, we have a starting charge craft essence that's going to give us a lot of leeway, and so you guys should be very easily capable of 6-slotting the 90++ node for this event. As a result of that, that does mean your best efficiency is going to be on the 7th day and after. So you will only have kind of 4 days there to grind it. So I wouldn't leave all of your grinding until that point. Definitely do some grinding on the earlier days with the 90+ if you're trying to get a lot done. But yeah, that is going to be a pretty sizable jump in terms of efficiency. So For those of you guys that are a little bit worried about maybe the holiday season and having Christmas to celebrate, that will probably mean that it will happen a little bit after Christmas. So you'll at least have time to spend with your families and get other stuff done. But then right kind of on the back end, on the heels of Christmas there, you will get kind of the most efficient node and really just want to farm it as much as possible. Now, again, each day will have a different 90 plus. That means that it's not going to be the same one and like you're just going to be stuck with that first one the entire time. No, each day it will change. So that will be a little bit of a departure from norm as well. It'll definitely make it for an interesting thing, but we do have the lotto guide that we've created for you guys with all the compositions that we think will help you guys farm stuff. So again, that's what they're talking about here, that the quest will rotate each day until, again, the 7th day in, and then you'll see that it kind of just gets a little stagnant. There will be a login bonus during the event. There was also a commercial that JP put out. You do have event bonus units. Obviously, your new welfare is going to be 100% event bonus. And then we have old Christmas units kind of in here. Anybody that's really been featured in Christmas kind of coming across as a 50% damage bonus unit. So again, they do have bond bonuses in here, but the damage bonus is what you're really going to want to focus on because this is what's going to help you clear some of these other nodes easier. And there is a little bit of a twist that if you guys stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to explain to you guys. But again, the damage bonuses here are all very nice. We do also have the event CEs. So Holy Blue is going to be kind of your lotto drop craft essence. This one is split stats. So if you do choose to level it up to 100, you're not going to be getting like a full 2,000 attack. Instead, you're only going to get up to 1,000 there. But it is fairly nice in the fact that it is 50% charge at MLB. It is going to give NP damage up to 15% at MLB. And then debuff removal resistance, which is okay. So it's not the best thing in the world to level, but if you feel like you just need that little extra firepower during the lotto, it's definitely going to be a nice thing for you. Looking at the event reward command codes, obviously there's some interesting stuff here, including increasing NP gain, something that is relatively rare for a command code. Also the ability to remove critical damage up on your 4-star one then when attacking. And the reindeer hat and bears basically has the ability to remove a ceiling debuff from yourself. So there is some decently capable command codes there. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going through the shop, but there is going to be a mystic code also available for those of you guys that have cleared Trom. But again, if you have, then you will have access to this and it will be a decently interesting mystic code. I think at the end of the day, this one is going to be one that you kind of add to your collection and try to like level up during the event. But ultimately, this is not one of the stronger mystic codes. And the reason why is because it's a little bit weird with how it works. The third skill charges the entire party's gauge by 5%, which is rather odd increments, not that standard like 10% or anything like that. We do have a heal that also can cleanse ailments, and then NP damage up for one ally as well as their NP generates. This is going to be useful for quick and arts units a little bit more, but not so much for Buster. So there's a little bit of like kind of concern there. You do also have the copies of again, Nemo Santa in here, and this will definitely make the shop something that you guys will want to pay attention to. But keep in mind, this is a lottery event. I'm going to assume that every single one of you guys is going to at least farm the event enough to clear the shop, because usually you guys are going to be doing a 90 plus or a 90 plus plus node. So as long as you're doing those, you will get all of the shop currency dropping alongside your lottery currency. And so as a result, I'm not too concerned about the shop. If you guys care to look it over, you can definitely spot some fine items for your sort of collection. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say this is just going to be something that a lot of you guys are going to auto clear. So I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time talking about it. The main quest will also be there. It's going to be, again, how you're going to get your Christmas Mystic Code. But again, if you haven't done Trom, you won't even be able to do the story, so therefore you won't be able to get the Mystic Code. Definitely it's an interesting one because it hasn't really been back. Your final reward for all of this will be a Grail and making Nemo Santa permanent. So that is going to be how you guys will do that. And again, there are a bunch of free quests. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going over them here because we do have a separate guide for that. We do have a challenge quest here as well. Standard par for the course sort of Christmas thematic gauntlet. As you guys can see, a lot of Santas here that you guys will be fighting. So it is a Standard Servant Gauntlet, you need to be careful of the abilities that are going to go around. Use your most high octane like damage bonus unit or somebody that has effectiveness like a Berserker against a lot of these units, and you guys should do fine. I don't think this will be that difficult of a challenge quest, and especially since NA does get its seals refreshed every day. If push comes to shove, you can always pop your 3 seals to get through it. The lotto info is definitely interesting. As you guys can see, lottos always work in the similar pattern of the first 10 boxes, they have grand prizes. After those 10, the prizes shift a little bit, so that means the boxes do kind of get worse, but they stay the same from basically the 11th box onward, so it's not like you're going to progressively get worse. So for your first 5 boxes, your grand prize will be a beast footprint. For the 6th one, you will get a crystallized lore. For the 7th through 9th, you will get gold foes of attack. And then for the 10th, you will get a grail. After that, there is no more grand prize. And you guys can see for the first 10 boxes as well, you will get kind of every tier of apple. As you go down to the 11th box onward, you will only get bronze apples. But just taking a quick look here at what is available, you guys can see that's really the only change. So you do have in the lotto boxes here your bullets, your stakes, your shells. So again, it is a highly coveted shell lotto. That being said, those of you guys that have had access to the end game, you've probably been sitting on the shell node like me in Bleached Earth for a bit. So the shells are maybe not the biggest concern here, but it's still nice to get a lottery event for them and kind of knock them out. Shells are perpetually used every single year during summer for each of your units. So it's one of those ones that you really just kind of want to get a horde of it so that you don't really have to worry about it for too long. That being said, currently on JP, we have a little miniature lotto going on with the grand duel for casters, and that actually also has shells in the boxes for that. So there is a lot of interesting thing to see that this will not be your only opportunity for something like this, but it will be a little bit down the road. Also, homunculus babies here, and then you will definitely get tickets that will allow you guys to exchange them for even more. As you guys can see, the exchange ticket can be exchanged for a lot of gold materials and even some silvers that you would not easily find in there. So the choice is yours. If you're lacking one of these, feel free to just kind of like start cashing it in droves. Again, each box will contain 2 tickets, so that's going to get you 2 more of these in addition to the other essential materials that are in there. So this is sort of a pick your own essential material if you want to. Again, for the summoning campaigns, you're going to get a banner for Nemo coming back here. We do have some interesting CEs here, as we have a all attack scaling, defense ignoring, buster up, and NP gain up of Octonautica. And then your 4-star CE is going to be something that, like, well, the art is nice, you're not really going to care too much about it. Same thing with the 3-star CE here, even though it is also all attack scaling for what it is and does have starting charge. Summoning campaign number 2 is going to be Breedomart. This is going to be interesting because she's coming back from the prior Christmas. Again, nobody else on Raid Up with her, so these are good times to roll some of these units if you want to isolate them from maybe some 4-star assignments that you didn't like, or maybe like other, 5 stars kind of getting in the way due to the timing. Summoning campaign number 3 here is going to be Summer BB with Ashvataman. Ashvataman is a, as you guys can see, sort of story locked unit, so it's definitely going to be one of those ones where, depending on how you guys feel about this might be a good time to roll her, and you would at least get some decent coins for a 4-star that's maybe a little bit harder to get them for. Scotty will have banner number 4. I will say, for anybody that's concerned about like meta supports and things like that, obviously Summer Scotty is out there that competes with Scotty, but we will have a banner for Koyanskaya coming up fairly shortly after this. So if you're worried about like who to go after and what to do in terms of meta supports that you need to roll, just keep in mind that there is another one very quickly after this. And then the Friend Point campaign here will bring back Mary Anning. So if you guys do want to roll out your FP again, you will have that opportunity. It will also have the sort of bonus experience CEs. So for those of you guys that already did it here at Guda Guda, that's perfectly fine. But you will have another opportunity if you want more 1-star stuff. I will say probably focus a little bit more on the lotto. That will be to your benefit. Okay, so with that underway, we will continue to talk about the lotto guide now. So, as you guys know, every single time we have a lotto, we end up putting out a guide for you guys. I've been pretty upfront about, like, I'm not sure what my future's like at the current point in time because I got real life stuff going on. But Avalon definitely did a lot of work on this, so give that man some love. He's done a whole lot of work trying to get you guys compositions for every single day, not just the 90++ node at the end. So he went over every single one of the 90 pluses. I ended up reviewing it with him and talking about some stuff, and definitely this is going to be an exciting one. So there's a whole lot of capability for you guys to be able to farm here, especially from day one. Now, some key things to understand, again, as we had mentioned before, you guys do need to have Trom cleared if you want Santa Nemo or want to be able to do the story, or again, get the new Mystic code from it. Also, keep in mind that there are some assumptions for the calculations that we use here. So if you guys don't have your units maxed out, if you're not like, and we don't consider things like grails to be something that we will throw into these calculations, but we do consider things like leveling up skills and stuff like that, having your units FO'd. So make sure that this is something that you guys understand. If you're wondering why maybe like your run is coming up short of our calculations, that would be why. Again, we do have the splash page here kind of showing you guys the lotto craft essence, so that is going to be a thing. And one last thing, as I mentioned before, if you guys stuck around to this portion of the video, we do have another interesting tidbit that not a lot of people picked up on. In fact, I think fandom even has this listed incorrectly. But Evocation Festival 6 has a bonus associated to it that will last until December 31st, which is the full duration of the lotto. That means any unit in the Evocation Festival there will have a damage bonus throughout the lotto that will overlap with it. So you can make really good use of that in certain circumstances. So again, that's gonna be units like Santa Nightingale and stuff like that, that you're gonna actually be able to get a little bit of like extra firepower out of to help you with some of these. Now, again, this is a spreadsheet. So at the bottom here, we have the box overview. This kind of just goes over everything I just talked to you guys about everything that is in the lotto boxes, including what you can exchange the tickets for, the grand prizes, and what the first 10 boxes look like as opposed to the latter boxes beyond that. We also have a node overview. This goes over every single one of the 90+ nodes. There are technically other nodes besides the 90+ nodes. We just didn't bother with them because we figure most of you guys will want to farm these nodes as opposed to just about anything else. If you're somebody that's newer and maybe struggling with that, my condolences, but I am going to say this is a guide that's built a lot more for efficiency of farming and trying to help you guys get the most out of this event. So, as you guys can see, we go over every single one of these. We break down the drops, each wave, how much health everything has, the class. So it's a good little bit of a primer and bit of a like quick glance to be able to see them all side by side if you're trying to compare things like drops. But again, remember, each day will have a different thing, so it is what it is. And by the 7th day, you will have the 90++ node. This is going to be the node that a lot of you guys are really going to want to sit on. It's going to be your best in terms of efficiency, and you're going to want to make sure you have a good comp for the 90++ day and onward. But you'll still want to make sure you have something good for each 90+. Now, we also do include the lotto node drop data. If you guys heard me at the beginning of the video, I did talk about the fact that a lot of the 90+ nodes here are pretty similar. So if we do look at this column over here, which is considered to be max bonus, this is going to be +12. That's going to be a 6-slot composition with full max limit broken lotto craft essences equipped. That'll be a +12 bonus, and you guys can see from day one from the 90+, you're going to be looking at 246.90, day 2, 247.20, day 3, 247.50, day 4, 247.80, day 5, 248.85. So you do get a little bit of a jump there. And then day 6, you kind of actually go a little bit back down. So there may be some variance as to the farming on these and the data that was actually obtained. And then day 7, the 90+ is also 247. So what does that mean? it means they're all kind of within the exact same range. You literally deviate from about 246 on day 1 to about, I think it's like the maximum here was day 5 at 248. The thing about this is we are comparing max bonus for the 90 pluses. Normally, like I said, for 90 plus, which is the one down here, you would be looking at the 5-slot composition. That would be the plus 10, which would only be 234 compared to, again, the max rank of like 247 on the 90 pluses. So that would be a efficiency lost. Here's the problem. Like I mentioned before, due to the charge on the CE and due to how much damage bonus is going to be flying around in this event, I think you guys can very adequately farm the 90++ node at maximum efficiency. So you're going to be looking at a significant jump up from the 247 rank to 270 if you guys are able to 6-slot the 90++. And like I said, I do think you guys will be capable of it. So let's kind of talk about this here a little bit. So as we look at each day, you guys can see the first day is going to be your 131 Saber node. This one's not going to be too difficult. I think there are some easy compositions for you guys, and we do try to include various different things. If you guys are having a hard time interpreting this, keep in mind over here is going to be your composition, here is going to be your mystic code, here is going to be the requirements of the units being used in the composition. So again, what MP level they are, what skills they have. If we have an X listed, it just means it's not important. As opposed to like a 10, that means we want a rank 10 on the skill. Same thing with the pens. Again, we try to, you know, factor in you guys not having coins, not wanting to like necessarily unlock pens. And keep in mind when it comes to things like pens and starting charge, having max limit break of the CE can be something that you can use to offset the need for having a pens in some circumstances. Over here, we have notes on the composition that you should probably pay attention to. So things like, hey, your party order, or like, you know, certain things to watch out for, like low rolls, needing to card, and potential carding concerns for like what you guys might want to look for. Same thing down here, we end up having sort of the order of operations as to like what noble phantasm from what unit will take each wave. And then over here on the left side, you guys can also see the effects of like the skills. So this is going to end up being something like Billy's skill 2 getting popped, Arash's skill 3 getting popped, and that'll be enough for Billy to noble phantasm on wave 1. We usually try to front load the skills so that you guys don't have to like sit there popping them throughout the entire time. Though admittedly, it definitely depends on the composition, and there's some things you just can't do a whole lot about due to damage constraints. But again, you can also see mystic code usage and what will go where. So we do put notes where it's applicable. Again, there will be some concerns as to skill order and kind of what unit needs to use their skills first, particularly if you guys are using someone like Nocnaria. You have to be very careful as to the order of her skills. You also have to be careful if you're using somebody alongside somebody else that maybe has debuff immunity or something like that, as the way Noc works is a little bit precarious. So keep that in mind, make sure you read the notes. And then over on the right side here, just so you guys can see, we have the sort of requirements and the results. So we have the average damage that'll come out of each of these noble phantasms. We have the maximum remaining. So this would be if you low rolled completely with the noble phantasms damage, how much would remain. So you can see everything in the green is good. That means nothing will be left over and you're solid. Over here on the right, we would have how much noble phantasm would be refunded. If you're seeing, you know, very significant numbers, that may be concerning, but calculation should be pretty airtight on that, though I'm not going to say that we won't have an error here and there. If you do see one, let us know. Again, get in contact with Avalon or myself, and we'll do what we can to try and help get it fixed. You guys can see if it's kind of gold here. Basically, that just means that there is, you know, some concern like, hey, there may be some times where like a unit gets left alive and you may need to card to finish it off. So you guys can see it does say carding needed. Red, it's usually a, hey, this doesn't actually work, and it probably is an implication of like the only reason a comp like that would appear would be something where it's like you're actually just relying on card RNG and like critting waves down. So again, this is basically going to end up being your day one. I'm not going to go through all the comps with you guys. I'm just going to kind of talk briefly about kind of the ideas here. But obviously for something like this node, I think Again, with it being 90 plus, you don't have too much to worry about. The Kelpie and the Trung sisters are going to be your major kind of foils here. So just find something that you guys can to figure out a solution. We do have some whalier versions of things. We also have some more free-to-play versions of things. Make sure you find the comp, and keep in mind that you can shift comps around. If you don't like, one unit being used, you might be able to get away with another. So these are more or less guidelines for you guys. Yes, it is a hard calculated composition that we know works, but you guys can mix and match as you need to, depending on what units you have. Day 2, just kind of jumping ahead here, we do have a 313 Lancer node for us. Again, there's going to be some really, really easy solutions, things that you're not going to have to do a whole lot in order to be able to clear. We definitely like to go plug less, as we like to refer to it, which is that we don't want to have to use plug suit if we don't have to, due to the fact that they're starting charge on the craft essences. That's going to make things really good for you guys, as it'll allow you guys to have that option a lot easier, especially due to all the charge floating around. Day 3, we are going to be looking at basically a 311 Lancer node here, and that's going to definitely be interesting, as it does mean that you can kind of just set up a pretty decent AoE saber in the front line, then have a really good single target person handle out the back 2 waves. And that's going to be something that I think you guys can really exploit and take advantage of. But as you guys can see, not everything is going to have notes. Not everything is going to be that complex of a composition. There's definitely some really, really simple and easy solutions to some of this. Day 4, we're going to end up having a 132 caster node. This is going to be where riders are really going to come into play. Santa Nemo, absolutely fantastic as a welfare. He's very loopable, somebody that's going to be able to be used for you guys really easily. But you guys can see this is only calculating NP2 of him, not even NP5. So you could definitely, by this point, already have cleared enough of the shop to get more copies of him and have a more robust version. Sakamoto Ryoma is going to be a unit that you guys will probably want to utilize here. He has an NP interlude that you guys need to get done ahead of the lotto if possible. And he will have a 50% power modification in play from the Evocation Festival. So we do have some pretty welfare specific compositions. You guys can see this is just a really down and dirty, easy six slot composition here for you guys. So definitely this would be a nice one. We don't even require max like Noble Phantasm ranks and stuff like that. So definitely nice. Obviously this would require 2 MLBs. This would be maybe a little bit harder if you haven't been farming as much, but you could take somebody else's Castoria. You could use your basic Mystic code, or again level up something like Arctic or the newer Mystic code if you felt like you could get away with it. There's a lot of flexibility with compositions that are using welfares, and you will see we do try to get away with using them whenever possible. So there's definitely some solid options for you guys. Now, day 5 here, again, this one's going to be one that you guys, I think, will probably want to have a good composition for, because same deal, you see a little bit of an efficiency bump up on day 5. Whether or not that's true probably depends on the data, but it may be a good idea to have something in play already. This is going to be a 133 Berserker node, so that's definitely going to open up some options for you. Obviously, the Diavoltron there in Wave 1 is going to be a little bit of a problem, but even somebody like Proto Ku can take him on with his Wild Beast niche, as he's going to be able to just nuke down Diavoltron for you guys, and then you can basically just have any number of units, including some of your supports, handle the subsequent waves and be able to clear through. Same thing, you guys have a lot of options and capability with your welfare units. Definitely something to consider, especially if you have different Mystic codes that you want to put into play or level up. So I do think there are a lot of options here for you guys in terms of what can be done. Day 6, you're going to be looking at this one kind of being a little bit harder. We have assassins in here. Assassins are definitely not, one that a lot of people are going to want to farm, because you're going to have to haul out your casters. Thankfully, now we have Ace/Tonalico in the game on NA, and that's going to help enable a whole lot of capability. So you're going to see her potentially getting used here. Yes, there's going to be times where we'll require a higher Noble Phantasm level, but it's also because, again, this is a plugless comp. If you wanted to add in plug suit and then add in a 4th unit into the roster to enhance firepower, that would definitely allow you to get away with a little bit more and a little bit less in terms of your Noble Phantasm levels. There are concerns here. Definitely make sure you guys are paying attention to what each composition requires, but it's not going to be like every single possibility is going to be the most difficult thing in the world. So you guys can see there are quite a few options for you available. Day 7, this is going to be the final day of nodes. We will still have them carry on for the next couple of days until the end of the event, but these will be the final set that you guys end up with. So it may be a good idea as well to have a good set for these. So day 7, the 90 plus, this one is going to end up being, I think, a little bit of a weird one, because I think you will see a lot of people trying to farm the 90 plus plus if possible. So right off the bat, you guys can see Santa Nemo, Santa Carna, both of them welfares that you guys should have the capability of having at this point. And there you go. It's not exactly going to be a difficult comp. You will see we are going to start to rely more and more on MLBs in the compositions as the days progress on. So now we're here in day 7. It's kind of assumed that you guys will have MLB copies at this point, though you can definitely make something work if you don't. Again, something right here with Ryoma having the power mod from evocation. So there's another very easy composition. Take somebody else's Oberon, use your 2 welfares yourself, and there you go. You have a pretty kind of efficient and easy to get through composition. Again, this is a 1-3-1 Berserker day, so you are going to see some like interesting compositions, as some of the prior ones from the prior Berserker day are going to kind of come back to an extent. And there's definitely the capability of getting away with even using 3 stars at times, like you guys have seen. But the big one that you guys are really going to want is the 90++ node. This is going to be the node that I think you guys need to come up with the best composition you possibly can for. Why? Again, this is where your peak efficiency will be in the event. There's definitely some solutions. Obviously, there are going to be people that require higher NP levels here, because remember, we are 6-slotting a 90++ node, and we don't really have a damage bonus CE, so we're going to be relying on sort of the strength of our units and damage bonus from units themselves. But we do have that capability. There are numerous options, as this is going to be a 3-1-1 caster node. So even somebody like Santa Nemo is going to be very usable here. So kind of just giving you guys a brief overview. Again, you can see the return of the welfare comp here. Now we're requiring all of the Noble Phantasm levels, but we definitely have a whole lot of capability on this end. Same thing as we keep moving through, you guys can see Santa Nightingale's also another one, as she has the 50% power mod. So again, make sure you guys are using some of those Evocation Festival units. They'll be really, really good here, and you guys will see you have a ton of options for this. This node in particular, we have the most options on the spreadsheet. We tried to make sure that we gave you guys the most capability on the 90++ day, because we knew that there was going to be a whole lot of people wanting to make sure that they could clear this well. So we tried to give you guys as many compositions, as many options as we could. That way you guys can kind of mix and match yourself and figure out what will work for you. But again, not going to go through all of them, but you guys can see there are quite a bit of capable compositions for you guys at play here. Definitely make sure you guys use your welfares. Make sure you guys stay on that grind. Keep using those apples. And again, thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for all the support over the years. It's what makes making these lotto guides for you guys actually worth it. You guys know I appreciate you. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Send the video to all of your friends. Help them farm in the lotto, and I will see you guys for the next one. Later. Yeah, make sure you guys thank Avalon when you see him. Again, you know, I couldn't do all this without him.